Hi, I'm Butch Phelps with the Muscle Repair Shop. Today's topic is about walking, and more importantly, how walking affects your feet, your knees, your hips, your back, and even your neck. Today we're going to look at the different ways that people walk and what are the results later in their lives. For instance, if you're the kind of person who walks where your toes are pointed outward and you push off at the inside of your big toe, you're more likely to wind up with things like Morton's neuromas, bunions, and calluses on the outside of your big toe. The bunions, many people will say, they believe they are hereditary, and that's not really true. In fact, if you'll go back and look at the person who taught you how to walk, chances are that person had bunions as well. When you see people who are wearing pointy-toe shoes, it jams their toes up together, and when it does that, it forces the foot to turn outward, which is a rotation in the hip. Now, that pointy-toe shoe contributes also to the bunions and the calluses, but by it forcing the rotation muscles in your hips to rotate the foot out, you're twisting your knee, you're twisting your hip, and that's going to put compression in the lower part of your back. If you happen to be the kind of person who walks with your toes pointed inward, what happens with your body there is that you'll start to bruise the bones on the outside of your feet. As you twist your knees inward, you're twisting the inner thighs and tightening those, which will cause the pelvis to tilt slightly forward. That can lead to problems in the knee by twisting the knee inward, problems with the hips by causing the hips to pull closer into the pelvis, and with the pelvis tilting forward will cause low back issues. So how in the world can your feet mess with your neck? Well, the answer to that one is simple. When you watch someone take a slower stride or a smaller stride as they're walking, they will tend to lead with their nose. When in reality, when a person walks, they should lead with their belly button. And when they push off, they should push off with their toes on the back foot. And we're going to go in the hallway in a few minutes and show you how to fix those things in your life and let you see what I'm talking about, because the very way you walk determines how much pain or the likelihood of you having a joint replaced later in your life. Now that we're out in the hallway, and I prefer the hallway as a great place to practice your walking if you're having difficulties. So let's go back and go over what we talked about earlier. For some people, and especially if people wear pointy-toe shoes like high heels or cowboy boots, their foot will tend to turn outward, and as they step off on the inside of the big toe. That again will lead to bunions. It can lead to Morton's neuromas, which is pinching the nerves between the knuckles and the toes, because every time you step off, you're pushing your toes in this angle. And you may wind up having calluses on the outside of the big toe here. How do you correct that? The best way to correct that is practice in your home, and again in a hallway, in case you lose your balance, you can touch the walls. Actually do the reverse, turn your feet inward so that as you walk, you start to retrain your brain to release the rotating muscles in the hips. But that retraining, over time, you'll start to notice that when you walk, you'll start to walk straighter. If your feet are turned in naturally, then just do the opposite. Turn them back out. Again, you have the walls here, and you start to walk as you're practicing your walk. But what you're really doing is retraining the brain to rotate the hips back out, and again, you'll notice that your feet will start to go straighter. That takes care of that issue. Now, if you're the kind of person that when you walk, you notice, or your spouse or friends have said to you, you seem to be leaning forward and you're taking a short stride. Now, it could be for some people it's a fear of falling and they hold on to things, so they take a shorter stride as they walk for balance purposes. Then what will happen is you're leading with your nose. And as you lead with your nose, your body starts to go this way. That's going to directly lead, number one, to neck and shoulder pain, because with your head straight up on your shoulders, it's 10 to 12 pounds. But when your head comes out in front, it goes as much as 40, 50 pounds at the base of your neck. By working on extending your stride, and that's where the walls come in, because as you reach out, you may find yourself wobbling a little bit. You can catch the wall and steady yourself. But what you want to get in the habit of doing is when you reach out on the back leg, feel your toes literally propelling you forward. Many times when people take shorter strides, it's the front of their thighs, because you'll see them walk like this as they're walking. As these tighten, your body again starts to lean forward, and that will lead to low back pain in this area. It also will lead to tight shin muscles, which will cause knee problems down below, and that's going to lead to possible knee replacements or at least surgeries on the knees themselves. That balance issue where we're having to hold on to the wall has more to do with the calf muscles, and that can come from having just weak calf muscles themselves. If you happen to have a tile floor, if it's not in your hallway but you have it next to a wall, practice on a tile floor. Take one of the grout lines and just walk the grout line. And again, if you feel wobbly, touch the wall. Walk again as you're walking. That will start to build strength on the calf muscles that will help you to maintain your balance so that you can extend your stride. Again, when you're walking, lead with the belly button. Have the head up on top so that when you push off with the toes on the back foot so that you don't lose your balance when you're doing that. People will ask also when they're walking, do I do a heel toe? Heel toe, what happens there is as you hit the heel first, it's 10 times your body weight is the pressure that reverberates through the bones into your back, which can lead to compression on the back. I would prefer that what you do is step forward with the whole foot. So again, in the hallway where you have the walls, step forward and feel your whole foot touching the floor. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Now I've got very thin shoes on, so for most of you, you may need to go to either barefoot or sock feet so that you can feel your entire foot. But feel, am I hitting more to the outside? Am I hitting more to the inside? You want to feel that whole foot come down and plant. And when you can do that, now you can improve the balance on your feet. Walking is real key. And by knowing how you hit the floor or hit the ground as you're walking, understanding mechanically how your body functions, you can save your knees, you can save your hips, you can save your back, and most importantly, you can save your feet. For runners, many runners will run up on their toes. That can have an effect just like with walking. As you're up on your toes running, yes, you're tightening your calf muscles, but you're tightening your shin muscles at the same time. And when you do that, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the lower part of the knee down here, which will lead to knee injuries. So again, how you walk, how you run, determines how much problems you'll have as you age in your life. Start changing your world now in your 30s, 40s, and 50s so that in your 60s, 70s, and 80s you don't have to deal with that. If you're already in your 60s, 70s, and 80s and you think, what the heck, I'm already there, what am I going to do at this point? You're still not too old to change. Change some of the things that you're doing so you can slow down those injuries. And you want to practice, spend a little time each day doing that so that as you start to walk out in the street, you're walking straighter. You're standing more upright. You're leading with your belly button, not your nose. And when you push off, you're pushing off with your toes. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoy your walking, improve your running, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.